Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to another live this morning. Hope you're having a great start to your wonderful day. And let's say hello to a few of our dear friends. And I mean that sincerely. And who is number one here to put their name? Kevin from Oshawa. How are you, Kev? Nativity, good morning. Jen, Cape Breton, Brahim, Portland, Oregon, Mike from Norland. You guys are unreal. Kerry, Nebraska, Nick from our staff, Mary, good morning. Fran from Orangeville. And Wendy from Markham, good morning. Linda, oh, you know how much I love Linda's. Sandy, Chilliwack, BC. Karen, Newfoundland. Donna, Bell Valley. Norma, Texas. Danny, good morning. Donna from Park Hill. Jeanette, bonjour. And Carolyn, good morning. Etta, good morning. Jeanette from Marsta. And Bruno, good morning. Catherine, Newfoundland. And Karen, Sault Ste. Marie. Adeline. And we appreciate you guys. Peggy. Lori, Texas. And hey, lots of Donnas with us. Good morning, Donna. Georgie, Halifax, Nova Scotia. Pat, Linda. Oh, these Lindas. Carolyn, how are you? Edmonton, right? Carolyn, nice to see you. Yvonne. And Larry, Surrey, BC. Leanne, good morning. Ron, how are you? Deb from Timoth. And Dale, good morning. Couple more here. And another Linda. Good morning, Linda. Sandra. And Yolande, bonjour. Bernice from Newfoundland. Wow, Newfoundland's well represented. Monique, good morning. Zian and Jean, our dear friends. Brenda, good morning. Two Brendas in a row. How are you? Bonnie, good morning. Shirley, Newfoundland. And Fran from Valcarin. Julie, Bowmanville. Okay. Andrea, here we go. Sue, you like my shirt? Colored shirts, he says. Okay, Little Britain, Bonnie, Elaine, how are you? Okay, here's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about sugar again. Yesterday, I showed you a study on what sugar does to your immune system and how it makes you, one, more susceptible to colds, and then makes colds, getting a cold, and once you get it, it'll last longer, depending on what you're eating. Isn't that important? Who'd ever thought there might be a connection between food and your immune system? And yesterday we went into some detail on the immune system. Your white blood cells, they're put to sleep by sugar. They have a siesta. And from 10 minutes to an hour, 10 minutes to an hour after 1 teaspoon of sugar. Okay? And then we talked about what sugar does, not only to the immune system, but how it affects your bodies and your body in different ways. And today I just want to sort of continue this because let me read something to you. Let me get it here. And I might have even mentioned this. I don't know if I did yesterday or not. I can't remember. We now eat in 2 weeks. You and I, on average, okay? You and I don't do it because we try and avoid sugar, okay? But the rest of the population eat more sugar in 2 weeks than our ancestors ate in a full year 200 years ago. Okay? The world's changed, guys. And I always bring it back to that. Now, you and I live in a different world. I saw enormous changes in my lifetime, even in my practice lifetime, which was just about 50 years. Enormous changes. And look, I mean, some changes obviously very good. I mean, come on. But when it comes to our health, here we are. Let me give you a statistic that will frighten you. Where do I have it here? Okay. This is on chronic disease. Okay. So I'm going to link this to our food because really that's what's changed. Here it is. Okay. In 2030, okay, here's what they're predicting. Half of the population will be diagnosed with diabetes. 2030. Half. Well, it's almost there now. Because the last thing that happens in your body, guys, is diabetes. That's the last thing. It's never the first thing. It's the last thing that happens. The last thing to go south is your blood sugar, because your body knows it has an organ dedicated to balancing, keeping your blood sugar low. Your body is smarter than we are. Why is that? Because your body knows how toxic sugar is. So it does everything to keep your blood sugar down. One place that sugar does not belong is in your bloodstream. It don't belong there. And your body knows that. And it does everything to get rid of it. Okay, but listen to this. In 1930, okay, I'm a history buff, okay? In all areas of history. I love human history. I love medical history, okay? I do. I love it. I love reading about it. And, you know, a lot of my programs are history lessons. And it's good to go back. It's good to go back so that we don't forget the lessons of history, right? We ought to go back and look and say, okay, you know, I mean, there's been a lot of advancements in medicine. Let's be honest about that. Wonderful. Lots of advancements. But the elephant in the room, guys, the elephant in the room, okay? In 1930, 7.5% of people had a chronic disease, like heart disease, cancer, forget Alzheimer's, that was hardly known. We're talking about 1930. Autoimmune, were they around? Yeah, but less than 8%. So 7.5%, 1930. By the year 2000, okay, so 23 years ago, 45% of the population had some form of chronic disease. Today, it's 65% of the population have some form of, it's already been diagnosed in that chronic disease. So heart disease, stroke, Alzheimer's, cancer of any kind, those are considered chronic diseases. Now, you and I know we can even take that a step back because we know that the vast majority of these chronic diseases start with a condition called insulin resistance. That means it starts with food. That means something has changed, right? I mean, if in the 1930s, less than 8% of the population had a chronic disease, and today, in 2023, we're at 65%. Never mind the people that have a chronic disease and they don't even know it. Right? What is the major culprit? Food, yes. Specifically, sugar. Now, we got bad oils too. So when I say sugar, I always include, and sometimes maybe I don't spell it out as much as I should, crappy carbs. You see, our diets have changed. We have sugar. It's in everything. And then, of course, I've always re-emphasized the change of sugar that occurred when the food industry, the liars, pants on fires people, changed the sugar. When the tobacco industry bought out the food industry, they were into addiction big time. And they were liars. Guys, if you don't believe me when I say that, I'm not saying, okay, hold on. I'm not saying there's no good people in the food industry, okay? I'm not saying that. There's a lot of people, scientists and whatever, they're just good. There's a lot of good people there, working there, but they don't run the show. They don't run the show. And the food industry, really, and I mean this, they don't care about your health. They're very ignorant. They don't want to hear that, because what they did, and they're very smart, okay? Their marketing people are geniuses, okay? So, when the other day they had the Golden Globe Awards for acting? Well, we ought to give them a Golden Globe for marketing, because they were smart. And they market this, everything in moderation. Now, let me ask you a question. Has that statement, everything in moderation, has that stuck with people? Of course it has. Even every week, even on our private Facebook group, there's somebody that will come on and they'll say, yeah, but everything in moderation. Guys, I heard that in my office every day. Where did that come from? Everything in moderation. The food industry, everything in moderation. So you can go down the middle aisles of the grocery stores. You look at snacks, you look at cereals, you look at cookies, you look at this, you look at that, and everything in moderation. Okay? And look what, guys, look, hello, use your eyeballs. Look what happened. 65% of the population already have a chronic disease. And you and I know that 93% of the population, 93% of the population have metabolic syndrome. And again, metabolic syndrome is insulin. Metabolic syndrome is food, because insulin is a food hormone. You only use insulin when you eat. Okay? You only use insulin when you eat. And by the way, why did I create the reset? To change insulin resistance. Okay? Now, what does sugar... Yesterday we talked about the immune system, and then we hit on a couple of other points, but let me go on today. Let me go on today, and we're going to look at some other things that crappy sugar does, okay? So, yesterday we talked about your immune system, specifically the white blood cells. Sugar, remember to, sugar and crappy carbs, they make a beeline. When they finish their destruction inside your gut, and we talked about that yesterday, your gut, your microbiome gets changed by your food. Bad food. Sugar destroys your good guys, feeds the bad guys, and especially candida, yeast, fungus. Bad. Because that's an invasive army. And when you have any form of leaky gut, that army will spread like wildfire into your bloodstream, and then from your brain to your toes, fungus spreads. Bad. Okay? Every area of your body. Let's talk about that. It disrupts, we talked about this yesterday a little bit, it disrupts the mineral. People today, they don't even realize they're going around and they're so depleted in their minerals. Okay? They're so depleted in their minerals, they have no idea that sugar is so destructive, and crappy carbs. What does it do? Kills your magnesium. Destroys your chromium. Chromium is really important to regulate blood sugar. Chromium, and that's why in our insulin balance I put in chromium picolinate. Because I know when you're a carboholic, you're a sugar addict. And kids today, the poor kids, they don't know because they're told it's just moderation. It's destroying their minerals. That destroys their kidneys. There's nothing more destructive to the kidney. It ain't, listen, Linda, it ain't protein. Protein never, ever destroys kidneys. I've been screaming for 50 years. That's a lie. And I understand why they do it. Because, wait a minute, protein. I saw protein in your urine. And, you're eating too much protein. Your kidneys are bad because you're listening to Dr. Martin and you're that EMC, eggs, meat, and cheese. That's bad. That's hard on your kidney. No, it's not. It's the opposite. There's nothing that will destroy your kidneys like sugar does. If you don't believe me, ask a diabetic. They know exactly. Because you know why kidneys? Because you get disrupted. Why do you think so many people are on high blood pressure medication? Why do you think they have so much trouble with high blood pressure? It's not salt. The cure is salt. It's sugar, my friend. And I know, you guys know this, but repeat, rinse and repeat. That's me. Rinse and repeat. But I get high blood pressure thinking about this. Like it goes up because it bugs me. It bothers me. Okay? And yesterday we talked about, you and I know this, the world should know this, but it's amazing. I've had conversations with oncologists and they go, I don't know if that's true. I don't think so. Everything in moderation. And you go to an oncologist and they don't even want to talk about food. Hey doc, what do I eat? I got cancer. What do I eat? Well, everything in moderation. And here's where some of them upset. I know. Well, don't eat that red meat because that, from what I heard, that gives you cancer. Or it's not good for you. Ooh. How does the PET scan work? How does it work? And PET scans are not for your pets. They're a cancer detector. You'll light up like a Christmas tree once they give you a cup of glucose, sugar, and you got cancer anywhere in your body and you get a PET scan, you know what happens? You light up like a Christmas tree. Wherever the cancer is, that sugar goes directly to the cancer cells. Did you know that? How can it not be important? Think about it. Think about it. People ask me, I get asked probably every second day, Doc, a friend of mine, a brother, a sister, my mother, my father has cancer. Doc, what do I do? Well, I said, number one, on the hit parade, no more sugar. None. Nano. I remember a cancer patient. This is 30 years ago. And I said, man, you got to cut out sugar out of your diet. And she says, I can't. I got to have my Slurpee. Seriously, guys, a Slurpee. What? I said, well, there's no magic. First thing you got to do is cut out sugar if you got cancer. And you and I, if we do anything, if we form one habit and we cut out sugar out of our diets, holy moly, what happens? It's incredible. Just that. Because we're going through the list. Okay, immune system, right? Your GI, we explained that yesterday, how sugar changes your pH in the wrong way. In your stomach, it makes you more alkaline, where you should be acidic, and in your gut, where you should be more alkaline, it makes it acidic. That's not good. And we talked about that yesterday. And why the reset is so good, even for your GI. Never mind what it does to the microbiome. We talked about yesterday type 3 diabetes, discovered in 2005. I remember that. I had a radio show in those days, and I'm telling you, that was our topic for weeks and weeks and weeks. I just went into Alzheimer's and dementia and the sugar connection, type 3 diabetes. And today, you'll hear it, but no. And then we found out in August of 2022, they fudged the research on Alzheimer's. They fudged it. They were looking for love in all the wrong places. They had a medication to help with amyloid plaques. And then they realized it was fudged. It was never true. And they had completely dismissed type 3 diabetes. Completely dismissed it. For 20 years, just about. And every medication that came on the market for Alzheimer's had to do with getting at that amyloid plaque in your brain. And they found out, you know what, that wasn't true. The whole premise was not true. And we brought that to you. Hot off the press. Last August. We brought those stories to you. Okay, let's talk about AGE. Okay? Oh, medicine and its big words, okay? Advanced glycation end products. How to keep you confused. When you consume sugar, crappy carbs turn to sugar in nanoseconds. Okay? Huh, Dr. Martin? It's whole wheat toast. You know how many seniors have whole wheat toast in the morning? Oh, I want to scream. I want to scream. It's sugar. Why not have it? You know what? Why don't they just put a chocolate bar and have a Snickers bar? Or a granola bar. Dr. Martin, it's granola. I don't care, it's crapola. It's sugar. It's just masquerades as something good. It's not good for you, a granola bar. Dr. Martin. No. Because you and I know what it does. Okay, now back to advanced glycation end products. What does that mean? That's how your body, it's how your tissue, from your skin to your joints, caramelize, age, lose its elasticity. You look at skin. You look at, people, they got a lot of pain, and they're in constant pain, and they're stiff as boards, and they can't move. And look, I'm not saying there's no such thing as arthritis in the joint. Of course there is. But I'm telling you what makes that worse. What puts arthritis on steroids? What degenerates joints? Takes away the elasticity out of joints. Takes away the elasticity out of your skin. It's called advanced glycation end products. I have been preaching about that for so long. Sugar will age your body, not only because it creates free radicals, not only because it goes after your mitochondria. You see, people think, okay, here's how people think in the medical field. You need energy. So eat a carb because you're going to get energy fast. Right? It's just the opposite, guys. Because when you eat a simple carb, a crappy carb, okay? First of all, that breaks down way too rapidly. It's like a wood stove. I've talked to you about this for many, many, many years. I like illustrations, guys, okay? So think of a wood stove. Your body's a wood stove. When you have a piece of bread, What are you putting in the wood stove to heat your house? Paper. Now, have you ever had a wood stove? Okay. We had a chalet, and we heated it with a wood stove. I tell you one thing, the only time you used paper was at the start. Because it burned like this. That's sugar, my friend. When you have a piece of bread, I don't care, it's 50 grain, Dr. Martin. It's 50 grain. I don't care. It's paper in your wood stove. It's going to burn like that. So what kind of energy are you going to get out of that? Not much. Better to have a log. You take an egg, you got a log. You take meat, you got a log. You eat cheese, you got a log on the fire. Burns slowly, real slow. But the second part of this is when you eat sugar and you have a crappy carb, it goes to your mitochondria. What are mitochondria? Your battery packs. The problem with sugar in the battery packs, yes, it don't last long. It's destructive to the mitochondria. Your body is so smart. Your little mitochondria go, don't give me that. That's going to destroy my batteries. You're going to run my batteries empty rapidly. So your mitochondria, which releases ATP, okay? ATP is the energy. But it destroys it. That's what a free radical does. A free radical oxidizes the mitochondria. And never mind, you don't get any energy. You're actually destroying your energy centers within your cells. That's how destructive sugar is and crappy carbohydrates are. They're paper in a wood stove. They are oxidized. They'll age your body so rapidly, not only through AGEs, glycation, but oxidation. Yeah? Ages your body quickly. Not only your joints, your energy. And people go around and they're consuming 200 pounds of sugar a year. 200 pounds. A truckload, a dump truckload of sugar. That's where we're at today. And here we are scratching our head, figuring, why are we so sick? Why is the population filled with diabetes? Why is 93% of our population unwell? Why is 65% of our population in 2023 already at 65%, already there, of chronic disease? That means they already have heart disease. They already have cancer. They already have Alzheimer's. They already have diabetes. Guys, if you don't think my mission here is important, I'm passionate, guys, about this. Passionate. Open our eyes. Anyway, I know you guys. You know this already. You guys are the smartest bears on the planet when it comes to health. The lay people here are smart. I'm telling you. It's incredible to me. Okay, now listen. For those of you who want to have some fun, okay, we're talking about this. Okay, we're talking about this. Now we're going to start next Monday, but you don't have to start on Monday. You can start after. Look, we're going to do what we call a meal replacement. I don't know. Somebody asked, how long are we going to do it for? Well, let's do it for 3 weeks, a month. Up to you. Okay? Let's say a month. We'll do it through the month of February, and then if you want to continue on. But here's what it entails. It's meal replacement. It's going back to my weight loss clinic that I actually had in my office. Okay? And we would do, part of the program was meal replacement, meaning that you got to eat once a day. You make the meal, and you pick the meal. You like breakfast? Have your bacon and eggs. And then you can have one shake at lunch, or one shake at night, or both. Up to you. A lot of people, they don't have breakfast. They have a shake at lunch. Now you're doing intermittent fasting, of course. And they have they have their supper. Or you can have a shake at lunch and a shake at night, or you can do whatever you want with it. 1 to 2 shakes. Now, what I'm asking you to do is do the Dr. Martin's Perfect Smoothie. Why do I do that? There's a reason for it. Because it's so good for you. So you're using up to 4 ounces of heavy cream. You can use coconut milk. I really don't want you to use any plant or like oat or almond milk or whatever. Don't do that stuff. That stuff is crap, okay, guys? I hate to say it, it's just crap. And you can use what I like, and this is where a lot of you have already got back to me and said, yeah, I'm going to use the bone broth because I already do it, I already have it, or I just ordered it, or whatever. I like that because there's a reason, by the way, that I like bone broth. I'm a huge, huge guy on bone broth because I know what it did in my office. I used to have hairdressers tell their client, say, what has Dr. Martin got you on? Your hair is growing. Your nails are better. Your skin is better. Your gut is better. Not the hairdresser was saying that, but people that did, because bone broth is the best, #1, best protein in the world. Why? Collagen protein. 1. 2, L-glutamine. L-glutamine, what's that do? It regenerates leaky gut. It regenerates it. That's why I love it. But again, if you don't have that and you want to use a whey protein powder or whatever, that's all right, okay? I don't like pea protein per se. I never thought it was much good. Doesn't have enough amino acids in my opinion, but if that's what you choose, okay, go for it. And we're going to do it together, okay? And I know a lot of people are doing the reset. They can do this too if they want on the reset. You'll notice in there that if you get my recipe for the perfect smoothie, one thing, and I allow this even on the reset, is flax seeds. And people always used to look at me like I had 2 heads. Dr. Martin, flax seeds? Yeah, I love flax seeds. Tell you what. Because they block estrogen, extra estrogen. And that's a big problem in our society today. Insulin, estrogen. Okay? I should have wrote a book. I did write a book, by the way. 2 hormones that want you dead. I talked about insulin and cortisol. That's years ago. I should have wrote 3 books. 3 hormones that want you dead. Insulin, cortisol, stress, and estrogen. Estrogen wants you dead, and it makes things grow. grow, grow. And it makes your body grow, grow. That's why women have so much trouble losing weight compared to a man. They got estrogen, my friend. They got lots of it. They're too much of a woman. Okay? So that's why I have that. Okay. You have any questions about that? Ask your questions and we'll try and answer. Okay? Guys, have I told you lately that I love you? I haven't? Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you right now. And tomorrow, okay, afternoon session. Tomorrow's an afternoon session, 4 p.m. Now, I know once in a while I change my mind. I don't mean to do that, but every once in a while, yeah. When you're doing live programs, things happen. Okay, guys, thanks for following us. We appreciate it. Share this. Share this with your friends. Tell them about the podcast, the Doctors In podcast. You guys are the ones who do it. That's what's made this popular. You guys have done that. Thank you so much. Love you.